Hey guys, it's Josh the Dungeon Monster here. I'm on lunch at work. Just finished some grocery store sushi. It's pretty good. I just wanted to talk about a one-shot that I ran for my family last night. Just to put it in context, I have 3 young children. The oldest one is 13. The youngest one's 7. And my wife, of course, I ran it. She was part of the group. I ran The Witch of Underwillow by Merric Blackman. I did purchase the module for $1.50 on the the DM's Guild spooky sale, so it was a great deal. I got some notes here on my phone. I wanted to do this video just to talk about it while it was fresh on my mind. Again, not a lot of people watched my Let's Create My First D&D 2024 character video, but I wanted to explicitly say in this video as well, I have been around D&D since 3rd edition. I've bought, books since 3rd edition. I've been involved in the hobby. However, I haven't played a whole lot, so I am not a professional. I still consider myself a beginner. I do watch a lot of D&D live play, but it's hard to find a group locally. So I just wanted to caveat that. This is one of the first times DMing in actually a long session. So it is a one-shot, but we did break this down into 2 sessions. Kids' attention spans, homework, showers, things that you have to do every evening. It just takes time. So I'm going to include some pictures in this video as well, hopefully maybe at the end. I'm not sure how we'll format this, but the first night, so the first half of the adventure, we went largely theater of the mind. We did have character minis for the player characters, either flat plastic or 3-dimensional, depending on what I had available. For the monsters, we also had either flat plastic or 3-dimensional minis. I ran the adventure, like I said, in 2 sessions. It was a very melee-heavy group. No one wanted to take on the role of a dedicated healer. We had 2 fighters, a wizard, and a barbarian. So what I did, I modified the module. And again, going forward, there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't ran this module or your dungeon master is running this module for you, probably a good idea to go ahead and stop now and come back later. If you are a DM interested in running this module, it's going to be full of spoilers. I'm going to go through everything, so you can continue. Anyway, the way I combated that, Emery in the bar, I had him give the characters a couple health potions apiece, just to combat against a dedicated healer there. Started the adventure went the way I anticipated. General banner in the inn and taverns. One of my daughters did smart off to the barkeep and owner Emery. She was playing a character called Lulu, and she smarted off early on. I put there was some banter there, and then Emery spit in her boar ribs that she had ordered. But there was merchants all around, so to keep everything calm and steady, she didn't say anything about it. But that was fun. And then we get to the plot hook. Marika busts in, hysterical that someone had taken her baby while she was tending to the clothesline in the backyard. She's crazy. Now, my players didn't investigate. They didn't even, again, major spoiler, but the baby's fake. It's a doll. Emery knows he's kin to Marika. He knows she doesn't even have a baby, but he also knows that there's a witch looming in the woods. So he kind of goes along with everything, fear for his own life and fear for his family's life. He does offer the characters or the adventurers 50 gold pieces, and then that's when I had him give up the health pods. They took it on a string, wanted to go investigate right away. So they followed a hysterical Marika to her home. Did notice the clothesline with both women and young child's clothes. They also noticed an overturned basket that appears that it could have had a baby in it. So one of the players rolled an 18 survival check and did indeed reveal that there were 10 wolves on the tracks. They also were able to conclude that whatever was drug off in a blanket, and that there was no blood, so it was potential that the baby was unharmed. So they did reveal that. They didn't go any further. They didn't question if the baby was fake. They just started, boom, right away started following the tracks. They followed the path. My oldest daughter, 13, did roll a successful perception check, and it was successful enough to notice the 2 wolves on the trail. However, it was not successful enough. I think the DC was 18 and she rolled like a 15. It was not successful enough to notice the wolves in the woods. I did cut this encounter down. Instead of 2 wolves on the trail and 2 wolves in the woods, I cut it down to the 2 wolves on the trail and only 1 in the woods. I did give the 1 in the woods surprise advantage on the first round of attacks due to the element of surprise. After the combat, this is my favorite part of the campaign. My wife realized that her character had to speak with animals. She asked me, is there any animals around, after the slaying of the wolves? She did. I asked for an investigation check. She rolled an 18. I came up with that, yes, there was actually a crow hovered on a tree above them in the very nearby distance. I had kind of been watching over them. She had a conversation. She connected with Speak to Animal. The crow did fill her in on, yes, there's an evil witch. She uses these wolves to kind of do her dirty deeds, and it wasn't uncommon to see these wolves kind of moving through the forest doing things for this witch. So that just gave them a little idea what was to come. Thought that was cool. Had a moment there. I told her as the connection fades with Speak to Animal, the crow flies off. Pretty cool. So they continue to follow the tracks. We stopped at the actual tree. So they made it to the tree. They did investigate. All that, boom. That was probably an hour and a half worth of gameplay after the combat. The combat took a while. My kids are new to the game. I'm kind of teaching them the rules as they go. I have their character sheets behind the DM screen, going through everything as they tell them what dice to roll, what modifiers to add. They're loving it. They're loving it. So again, this session was mostly theater of the mind. I had stated at the beginning when I did the look behind the DM screen that it was going to be almost all theater of the mind. However, I couldn't resist. So we had this first session. They had so much fun. Second session starts last night. Today is Halloween for context, so I wanted to get this in. Where it was a spooky Halloween one-shot that we turned into 2 sessions, I wanted to get it in before Halloween. So anyway, they continued tracking the wolves. Sorry, I'm going. They made it to the tree, and so they decided to go in to the tree last night. Now, this is where the game slowed down, but I did set up a lot of Dwarven Forge, had a nice Dwarven Forge set up with the room to the left, the room to the right, and the Witch's Chamber, lights, throne, everything. Kind of pulled out all the stops here for my kids, and they ate it up. Last night's session was awesome. Session 2, amazing. Sorry, I kind of lost my notes did not update from when I updated them this morning. So we're going to go off... just kind of off memory here. Once they enter, the game kind of slowed down a lot. They were overthinking what was going on because the module says if they listen to the left door, no matter check, they hear nothing. They listen to the right door, they hear nothing. The witch is stubborn. The way the module's set up, there's a puzzle on the left, there's a puzzle on the right. The middle door is her chamber. However, it's locked magically, cannot be unlocked without solving a puzzle on the left and a puzzle on the right. Puzzle on the left has half of a key. Puzzle on the right has half of a key. Magical key goes together to form a key. Open up. Boom, you're there with the witch. And then there's the major reveal that after you slay the witch, there are alternate methods. You can team with the witch. The witch has an evil sister. All this, I just went with the basic one shot. Hey, the witch lured them there to kill them. So anyway, the game did slow down. They were overthinking it. They didn't want to enter the left. They didn't want to enter the right. They kept looking for traps. Finally, they realized there was a key there. I played it off like, hey, you can hear the witch singing a lullaby behind this middle door. Hear something singing a lullaby right behind this middle door. Anyway, they finally entered the left door. What the left door is, there's a 30-foot pit there. Mind you, the wizard has mage hand. But again, they're new, they're learning the game. So there's a 30-foot pit there, bunch of bones in the bottom. There is a gnarled root that goes across, kind of like a bridge, a very unstable bridge. Can't remember the target DC, but my wife's character, she's a barbarian. She decides to try an athletics check to cross this gnarled root. She fails, falls in, simultaneous action. other daughter, oldest daughter, fighter, decides to do a strength check. Her strength's higher. It was the same. The module gave you an option to kind of shimmy across. She fails. She falls in. I kind of nudge them, like, hey, just keep in mind, look at your spell list. You do have Mage Hand. Wizard finally casts Mage Hand, goes right across, grabs half of the key, dangles it over the, kind of taunting the players in the pit there, and comes back. So the way the module works, for each person that falls in to the bones, to the pit, there is an animated skeleton. So we had 2 skeletons to deal with, typical combat. While that's going on, one of my daughters decided her character was taking a crap in the corner of the room. The joy of playing with kids. So I let that happen, whatever. They're having a good time. Combat's going on. Wife actually, she gets knocked unconscious. Boom. Critical hit, unfortunately. Boom. Really high damage, ×2, double for the crit. So she falls. She is lucky enough to save 3 times. And she gets back up at 1. Long story short, they do defeat the skeletons. They climb out of the pit. I make some funny banner about some human crap in the corner of the room. Everybody laughs, whatever. Good comedic relief, good time, good fun. So they go back out. After that, they realize, oh, I looked at the key. It's only half a key. So they didn't realize that at first. They were going to go try to use the key. I fill them in that it's half the key. They go in the right door. What the right door is, it's kind of like a puzzle with 2 statues. Both statues have a golden key around their neck. The way the encounter is designed, if either of the keys removed, they animate. 2 animated armors is the stat block that you use. However, since the party's a low-level party, they share a health pool. So damage to one does damage to the other. What I did, I had it planned anyway. They did make it through this encounter without combat. So they investigated. They did everything right. You can ask the statues 1 question, yes or no question. They do always lie, but there's a little inkling of that. There at the base of the statue. On both of them, there's a word carved in that says false. So they actually read that one. Everything turned out good. They did find the other half of the key behind the plaque in the middle of the statues. So boom. The way I was going to handle that encounter, though, I already had a mini for it. 1 animated armor. I wasn't even going to bother with 2. But they didn't have to fight. So everything's good. So they get out. There's a lot more banner. They drink a couple health potions to recover from the skeletons. Boom. Put the magic key together. Smoke, it smokes, gets together, all the whatever. They go in, the witch is there, they don't give her a chance. This was kind of anticlimactic for me, just due to initiative order. What I probably should have did looking back, the witch is looking at a scrying eye, so she has eyes on the party the whole time. I should have allowed her to have a surprise attack as soon as they open the door. I didn't think that through enough, and the witch does have shape change and everything. Didn't even get to do it. And in her human state, she's extremely weak. So, characters, pretty much, someone landed a crit hit almost right away. Initiative order, witch and warg, her pet in there, rolled very low on the initiative, so our players went first. Witch got like 1 attack off, did 6 damage, I think. And before she could even shape change, because she's got some ability to shape change, before she could even shape change, party just obliterated her. With that said, as soon as that happened, they all focus fired the witch. As soon as she fell, I took it on myself to say, okay, her pet, the warg, goes into a rage. Any attack that he makes for the rest of this encounter is going to be done so with advantage. Didn't make much of a difference. They steamrolled the warg as well. So the combat's over. They gather up all the loot. Oh yeah, before the witch dies, she does start begging them not to kill her, saying they can team up. It was all a misunderstanding. That if they did end up defeating her, then they would be haunted. She promises they would be haunted. Get a funny tagline by one of the characters. We ain't afraid of no ghost. Boom. They proceed to chop her hands off, kick her to the curb, and crush her skull. So she's done. That's when the wolf or the warg goes into a rage. They defeat the warg, gather up all the loot, including, now we're going to use these characters. We're going to move into Fendelver and below. I've already tied that together. So they do get the scrying eye. So that's pretty cool. They got their first little magic item as a group. On the way back out, a dire wolf does. That's the haunt that she promised. Dire Wolf catches them on the way back to the tavern, and they defeat that pretty handily. Boom. Just like that, the one-shot's over. I've got it tied up. When we start Phandelver and below, they'll start back in the tavern with Emery and Marika. They did feel a little slighted, a little cheap once they figured out that the baby wasn't real. The baby was a baby doll. However, the way the adventure paints it, apparently Marika knew that the whole time. She's just a little crazy. I painted it a little different. I counted it to the witch had this town under a curse, right? So Marika was honest. I did that because we could have these NPCs still be friendly, and we could tie this into Phandelver. So that's the way I painted it. The adventure for $1.50 on the spooky sale was awesome. It was very well laid out. The DCs were everywhere. I mean, the prep work, I did read. I think I read it twice. It's 8 pages, so it's nothing. But I did read it twice just because I said I'm a new DM. It was awesome. We had a blast. The second session was so much better than the first. I don't know if it's because of all the terrain that I set up. I had printed a witch's hovel that I hadn't had a chance to paint, but it was in there. It happened to be a tree. Everything lined up, had all the terrain for it. Then I put the Dwarven Forge back, set it up just like the module had with the final chamber room. We had a great time, man. We had a great time. So I just wanted to get on here and kind of recount my experience with this module while I was on lunch here. It was awesome. It was a great time. So if anybody's thinking about buying that or looking for a little spooky one-shot or something very easy to DM that you can throw really into any campaign, it starts in the tavern. They lead you down. You kill the wolves. You get into this big tree, which they did. It is part Fae under the tree, which has nothing to do with the story, but it does explain how it's so big when it looks like a normal tree. Yeah, I forgot to mention that where I had lost my notes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just a recount of the one-shot that I run for my family that we're turning into the Phandelver and below. We're going to have a probably a bi-weekly campaign with that because everybody had such an amazing time that they want to do it again. They're already, Dad, when are we playing D&D again? So it's really cool to be able to get your children into the hobby that you enjoy, and it gives me a group to run games for. So yeah, this is my recap of The Witch of Underwillow by Merric Blackman, I think it was, on the DM's Guild. It's on there right now. I think the spooky sale's still going on. It is Halloween if you wanted to pick it up. If not, I think normal price is under $3. So, yep, I better get back to work. My lunchtime's about to end soon. Just wanted to do this recap while I was here, while it was fresh in my mind, and let everybody know what a great time we had. So, hope everybody's well. Hope you're rolling high. See you later.